time between videos. Life gets busy. As you can tell, I'm a bit sick, but time for another video finally. If you haven't been on this channel before, I have a jzx110. Excuse the garage. We're trying to move house still. 1JZ platform, very similar to a jzx110 chaser. Same driveline. It's got the throttle body, which is like fly-by-wire. My last video, if you didn't watch it, I put some BC coilovers in. Massive upgrade. I was very happy with that. Car drives great. It's like settled, ride height's great, but because it's a new video, which means I might have a new part. Well, I do have a new part. Some people might know what this is. So this is a J-pipe delete kit. So funny enough, I was talking to some people. They have a lot of trouble doing this on stock standard cars with stock standard ECUs because they run a MAF. And you need to straighten the airflow and buy a straightener out, etc. to get the computer to like the airflow through this. I run a Link ECU, so I should be sweet. I've got AFR gauges, I've got my laptop, I can see what's going on, so I can put this on and see what it does, but it shouldn't really change anything. I've heard it picks up responsiveness a little bit, changes the dose. It could be better or worse. I've heard it's louder, but maybe higher pitched, not so deep. So I'll find out. So I believe 110s only need the one big fitting for this hose that runs across the top. To buy it online, already made from certain car shops, they want $300-400, some of them with postage. I found this on Alibaba. I don't usually buy car parts from cheap Chinese online stores, but I thought it's an aluminium pipe, it's not a mechanical part, and as long as the welds look good, which they do, I can't see a problem with it. The only thing I don't like is the inside of the fittings. I might grind them down and smooth them out a little bit. They protrude a little bit, but other than that, it feels pretty good. Yeah, this was like $95, so like nearly a quarter of the price of what they're charging elsewhere. Thing about the kit I got from Alibaba, it's the old horrid blue coupler. So I'm probably going to run something different to that anyway, but just keep in mind when you order one of these cheap ones, you're going to end up with blue. Yeah, I've just taken one hose off, but as you can see, like I've got my new ECU wires running through here, which are a mess. There's old wires, there's some rails up the back. So by taking all this off, I want to tidy it up and just make everything look a bit neater. Sorry about the lighting. But yeah, I've undone a few hoses, connectors, and just moved a few things out of the way. There's like a hard line down in here, a vacuum line that runs to the recirc valve, and the control stuff up the back here, it needs to sort of come off and stay where it is. I think for now there was one bolt here and there's one behind the valve itself. It's quite difficult to get to. I'm thinking I'm going to take that off. So I didn't take it off because I found out the nut's rounded. I couldn't get it, but an extension of a socket got that bolt out. So yeah, that line in there, you can see just there, is loose. Within, I don't know, 2 minutes, I've got it loose. So there's one bolt way up the back there that would have been a bit difficult to get to, but funny enough, mine's not in. So I've just undone the two on the front of the turbo and it's loose. So I don't know if there's supposed to be any more. People with 100s seem to have trouble that I've seen. Maybe there's some bolts in behind here, I don't know. I just don't seem to have any. So whether this has been off before, I don't know, but I've just got to undo, excuse me, rubber hoses. Undo rubber hoses, can disconnect some of the recirc valve stuff, and hopefully it should just pull out. Alright, what I feel like was 15 minutes was probably 15 minutes, and it's out. So yeah, there's a couple little hidden bolts that hold lines on underneath. This one I missed, it was kind of hidden. holding it back, but once they were all off, it just came straight out. This is what the bay looks like without it. So now you can see the turbo outlet. There's a bit of oil sitting around the front of my turbo. I'm going to feel for play now and just feel the turbo. And my useless oxy sensor down there, which I want to get rid of, will come out soon. I've just got to plug this off, which the kit doesn't come with anything for that. Probably got to buy some extension line here. Now I can see my valve gasket is leaking, but I want to take them off and paint them soon. So it just makes that job easier, getting all this room open. So feeling the play, very minimal play in the journal bearings, which I'm pretty happy with considering I run 23, 24 pounder boost through what is a stock turbo. Been doing that for years. I don't know how, people don't know how. Seems to like it. Touch wood, it lasts. It does all look factory in there. I just checked the blades out. It looks like a factory turbo inside, so no billet wheel or anything that's been upgraded. As I thought, I'll just free up this hand, which is difficult. So this vacuum line, goes to the recirc stuff up the back, which I don't use anymore. Tees off down here. Excuse me sniffling. But I have a boost solenoid valve in that's controlled by my ECU now, so that replaces all of that. So I believe I can get rid of this hard line and that stuff up the back, and I've just got to plug this line somehow, and yeah, I can get rid of it. So I just need something that screws into the turbo or caps that off, that fitting on the turbo, and clamp it on, and that'll get rid of all that. Alrighty, I got the new piece in. Because of this step in it, it's a bit hard to get a socket and line it up. The old crow's foot spanner on the back nut worked a treat. If you don't know what they are, it's these kind of things. You put your extension in the square hole and these offset it, and you can tighten it. Really handy. I've used them only a couple times, but when I do, they're great. So yeah, I've got a bit of wiring to tidy up. Things I don't use this plug anymore. That was a blow-off plug, and my new wires are in this same harness, so I've got to keep it, but I've got to tidy it. That's a tomorrow job. I tidied up a few things down here. I'd like to tidy up my boost solenoid, but for now I'll leave it. I'm still sniffling, which is horrid. So I've just made a list of things I need. So I need to cap this. I need to cap this line off the turbo because I'm not using it anymore as a boost reference. What else do I need? I need a longer one from the valve cover to go to the new pipe, and then I've also got to cap the big one here because that's for a jzx110. Yeah, I took those three things off so I can go to the shops tomorrow and get the right size line, get a cap that fits that, a cap that fits that because that's out of the turbo boost hose size. So yeah, now I'm going to mock up the airbox so I know what kind of angle it is coming in, and if just a bend hose will fit the pod filter, and I want to keep this whole assembly so the pod filter's enclosed, and then just fit the hose across it up. I've got to cut the bottom corner of the airbox out because it just sort of wants to go in that angle now rather than in the front of it like it used to. So I've got to cut a corner out, but it shouldn't be too much and it should still work. Can use the horrid blue coupler, I guess, because it's probably the right size. From that to this, and it'll probably nearly be inside the box anyway, so you won't see it. And I can still run this filter, which would be handy. So yeah, I've just mocked it up now, just sat everything on there so elements don't get inside the turbo or my boost pipes. It can sit like that overnight. I might just plug this on. And even though that looks pretty cool, I can't start the car. I probably could, but I can't be bothered. Yeah, I don't have a math. It just runs off the AITs, air intake temps, off that sensor, so my whole ECU wouldn't even know I've done this at all. Keen to hear what it sounds like, but I'm not going to bother doing it now because it's not finished. We'll let you know what sizes all the little bungs and everything I get and where I get them from and how much they cost, so then you have an idea of the whole setup if you want to do it this way to your car. Yeah, stay watching. I will continue this tomorrow and do a bit of cutting, trimming and connecting pipes, and I got to go buy a whole lot of stuff so it can run. It's the next day. I went to multiple car shops, Bunnings, etc., trying to get plugs and things to block these. So quite an assortment of stuff. That's the old hose. I got some clamps. It was all cheap stuff. So yeah, I found this. There's an actual proper cap. That should fit on the big one down there that I'm not going to use for this car. So that's that one. Got a door stop because I couldn't find anything big enough for this, which that fits over pretty good. It's a little loose. I thought it was going to be tighter, but that'll be alright. I can clamp that down. Probably cut it shorter. It doesn't need to be that long. That should block that off. And I got another little one for this line, which was the hardest one to find. Every store had run out of a 6mm cap, which was tough. So that's why I went to so many stores. But everything was like probably under 30 bucks. Co had these vacuum connectors, 6mm, so it should fit over that bottom turbo feed way down there. I'm going to attempt to cut my intake pipe down, get that back on it and get that into the airbox somehow. So we'll see, cut the airbox down and utilise that. So yeah, if you can see it way down there, it's that little black thing, that's the little 6mm cap with one of my original clamps. That worked good. So that's for that size. That cap fit on there perfect on the unused jzx110 fitting. So that size there was a 14 to 27mm clamp, was perfect. That cap was a 3/4 inch, so a 28mm. Some extra long hose to go from the top of the cam cover down to the intake pipe, which I need. So that's just a 1/2 inch hose. Alrighty, they're all plugged in. I'm just going to put a couple cable ties on this. So the one down there is plugged up. This one's plugged up. The door stop is on. It's a bit thin. I don't know if it's going to take the boost, but the clamp's nice and tight, so that ain't coming off. Just got to fix the intake and we're done. I've trimmed out my pod filter holder, but to use this type, it's a little bit too long. It hits the airbox and fouls on it. I could cut it down shorter, but then we get onto the bend. I really need to come right back to this weld that onto that pipe so it's more straight, and then I could utilize it, but I don't have a TIG welder. I do know people that have one, but this filter's pretty yuck. I'm tempted to go buy an actual 4-inch filter and just go straight off that with a coupler into the airbox now that I've trimmed it, so that'll work. So I think that's what I'll do, but I might just mount this without the airbox for now and see if the car will run. Righty, it's all plumbed up. I just had to trim the airbox. For now I can't run the actual filter because it's too big for the airbox, so I'm going to go buy a new filter. For now I've just got my old one exposed. I don't want to, but it's all on. The car's running, it revs, it idles. That definitely sounds a lot louder because I'm hardly revving it and it's doing that. It never used to do that. So I think that's going to be stupid loud. I'll take it for a drive and see if everything works. Alrighty, first drives, the dose, the flutter is surprisingly heaps better. It's not as loud, but it's heaps deeper. Sounds like I've got an aftermarket turbo, like actually, it sounds like I've got more performance, just with a deeper dose, which is amazing. And it's like not as high pitched, not as loud, so I feel like that's better. I actually really like it. But I am pulled over at the moment because I blew something off under boost. So I have a feeling it's going to be the door stop. I will find out. Oh no, it wasn't the door stop. The door stop held. It's
Just my typical hose that always comes off because it's oily over here. I will fix that. And I can actually rev it here and let you hear the dose because now I'm not at home where my daughter's sleeping. Alrighty, back on. It's super windy, hope you can hear it. I'll give it a rev. I haven't actually heard it from out here. Yeah, I like that. It's absolutely blowing a gale out there. So yeah, overall, pretty happy with it. The car's more responsive. It feels like it's got a bit more download grunt. AFRs, boost all feel very much the same. I haven't given it full throttle, just sort of letting everything settle in before I step on it. But I've gotten up there already, and it's pretty good. It's holding a fair bit of boost. So yeah, it tidies up the engine bay a lot. Like without that heat shield on, you would see all the extractors and you'd see the turbo. If I need to work on any of that stuff now, I can get to it. There's nothing in the way. I can get to a lot of other hoses. And now I'm noticing things like this. I've never noticed that before. I don't know why that's so long. I'm going to soon change that out because I don't use that oxy sensor anymore. I'm just going to cap the flange off, hopefully. If you're thinking about doing this and you don't have a MAF sensor, I think there's a few complications there, like I said earlier, with the straightening of air and getting honeycomb in there to get the MAF to read right. I don't really see a point of doing this on a stock standard ECU car. I think it's just more trouble than it's worth. You're better off just blocking the blow-off valve, the solenoid up the back of the J-pipe. You'll get a nice flutter. It sounds good. Till you get an ECU, then I recommend doing this like I did. Back to looking relatively stock. I cut the crap out of the airbox because even the new filter just fouled on all the framing of it behind, and I had to cut so much out it became weak, so I just took the whole back piece off. So that's pretty much destroyed. It's only got the one bolt in the front now because all the ones at the back are now not there, but this helps hold it on and ram air in. Unless you look way over the back, you still can't really tell there's a pod filter there. Like, first glance, open the bonnet, it looks enclosed. You can kind of see a peak down there. I mean, if a cop's going to be getting me and really looking over it, they're going to find it. I'm probably going to make a custom airbox. I could probably utilise this ram piece still and make something up from this and then just cover it in behind, and it will look fairly factory. Paint it black and no one will know. So that's something to do later on. Shouldn't be too bad, just keep it out wider and the pod filter will clear it. But that's the new filter on. That might change the sound of it, I don't know. Surprised this thing held up. It's pretty cool how a doorstop will actually do that. But time to take it to a car meet tonight in this terrible cold windy weather. So yeah, I'm gonna probably take the cam covers off and yeah, I'll take them off, probably paint them. I'd like them like a matte black, like a wrinkle black finish. I think that paint's quite expensive though. See how it looks against the white plate. I might paint this white again, and I'm thinking about just polishing up the Toyota sign in the VVTi so it stands out in silver. I think it'll look tidy. The heat plate, I can't think of it now. You know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't mind that wrinkle black as well. It'll just clean up everything. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you really enjoyed it. Hope you learnt something. If you think about doing this yourself, similar situation to me, I highly recommend it. But give me a like, give me a subscribe, really appreciate it. And I'll try and get more videos out there. I know they're not consistent like they used to be, but life gets busy. Catches.